The lesson which we are going to do today is fire, friend and foe. So as we all know that fire is both useful and dangerous. First of all, we must know what is fire. How did we discover it? Everybody of us knows that how it was discovered. We know that in the beginning of the life on earth, there were human beings which are called earlier men. So they discovered it, and we will also come to know how do we control it. So let's read how fire can be friend and also foe sometimes. Early men didn't know what fire was, but he must have seen the damage it could cause. Obviously, in the beginning, man was not aware of what fire actually was, but he must have seen the damage caused by it. Like he must have seen fire in the forest. He must have noticed that fire is very dangerous and is very powerful. He must have watched lightning, and one more form of fire he must have watched was lightning and volcanoes long before he began to use fire himself. Before using fire himself, he must have seen lightning in the sky. He also must have seen volcanoes, which are you can say are mountains of fire. Fire was powerful and dangerous, and he was frightened. Obviously, he must have felt scared of it. Fire may have puzzled early man, but we now know that fire is the result of a chemical reaction. Early men did not know what actually the fire is. They must have thought it to be a giant or maybe some divine power only. He must not be able to understand that what actually it is. He must be feeling scared of it all the time. But now we know that fire is the result of a chemical reaction. When the oxygen in the air combines with carbon and hydrogen in a fuel, a chemical reaction takes place. Now, this is what we know about fire. We know that when oxygen in the air is combined, it is mixed with carbon and hydrogen in a fuel. Fuel is something which you need to generate energy, and that you need to make something moving on with the help of fuel. So it's a chemical reaction which takes place when oxygen in the air combines with carbon and hydrogen. Energy in the form of heat and light is released in this process. Now, when this chemical reaction takes place, what is released? Either it is heat and it's also light. So, this is released in the process, and that's why the result is called fire. Three things are needed to make fire. So you must know all these three things. Which are these things? Fuel means you need something which helps in burning fire. Fuel, oxygen, and heat. These are the three main factors which you require for burning fire. Wood, now see the examples of fuel. Which can be your fuel to burn fire? Wood, coal, cooking gas, and petrol are some examples of fuel. Oxygen comes from air. This everybody knows. Fuel we can get from all these things, which are the examples given here. And oxygen is there in the air. That is why when you blow on smoldering paper, it often bursts into flame. When you see a paper, when you keep a paper which is having very small sparkles of fire, which is burning very lightly, but when you blow it, then it bursts into flame. It because there is oxygen in the air. So we know that we need three things to make fire. First is fuel. I have given you examples which are there. Then you need oxygen, which is already present in the air. and which must be present in the air when you want to burn fire. Then there is heat that is also needed. So now main thing is the third thing needed to make is heat, which is very necessary. Fuel and oxygen do not make fire by themselves. If you think that fuel and oxygen, if they are kept together, then they can burn, it's not at all possible. You need, or else a newspaper or a stick lying in the open would catch fire on its own. Not possible. Means if you put fuel, if you give it oxygen, and if you think that they can now fuel will burn, will start burning, it will not happen. Suppose you keep a newspaper in the anywhere, and then you put a matchstick near to it. Do you think that your matchstick will be able to burn the newspaper? Not at all. You have to rub it on the side of your matchbox, and only then there will be heat. And when there will be heat, then there will be fire. To burn a piece of paper or wood, what do you need? We heat it before it catches. Means heat is also necessary to catch the fire. We generally do it with a lighted match. That's what I told you, that if you have a newspaper and then you have a matchstick, then you need a matchbox on the side of it which you can rub it and produce heat. Every fuel has a particular temperature at which it begins to burn. Now, this is also very important, that every fuel type has different temperature at which it will start burning. I hope it's clear to you. Let me tell you once again that every fuel, there are many types of fuel. So every fuels need a particular temperature, high temperature, when it will start burning. Everybody's particular temperature of burning is different. This temperature is called the flash point or kindling temperature of the fuel. Now, this is important, that what is a flash point of particular fuel. Flash point is a particular temperature at which that fuel starts burning. Suppose if something starts burning at 50-degree temperature, maybe other fuels start burning at 40-degree or maybe 100-degree. So that depends upon the fuels. It is sometimes said that fire is a good servant but a bad master. Now, this is what we discussed before we started the chapter. What was this? That it is good servant, means if you keep it under your control, then it is very good servant. Fire is good servant. But when you lose control over it and it becomes your master and you are under its control, then it is very bad. Means if you keep fire under your control, means you are master, fire is servant, then it is very good. But if you are careless and you allow fire to multiply it and become powerful, then it will become your master, and in the form of master, fire is really so bad. It only means that fire is very useful as long as it is kept under control. For instance, we use it to cook our food, warm our homes, and even in winter, and to generate electricity. But on the other hand, if fire gets out of control, it can be very dangerous. Each year, thousands of homes and shops are damaged by fire. Vast areas of forest are also destroyed, and hundreds of people are killed or injured. Just as three things are needed to start a fire, there are three main ways in which a fire can be put out. In each one of the three things needed for burning is taken away. So, in the beginning, we read we need three things to burn the fire. And for blowing it out, To put it out, again, we have to do three things. We can do three things. And what are those things? That which three things are essential for it? Remove one thing. Then fire will be put out. If we remove any one out of these three things which are required for burning fire, then we can put out the fire. Now see example, it will be more clear to you now. For example, we can take away the fuel. If the fire has no fuel to feed on, no burning can take place. We often let a fire die out simply by not adding more fuel to it. Now, just think that if you are burning fire by putting logs of wood to keep yourself warm in winter, now what happens? Till you want the warmth from the fire, you keep on feeding it by putting more wood logs in it, like you provide more fuel. But if you don't want it anymore, then what do? You don't add new logs, you don't add more wood to it because you want it to put out. Means we often let a fire die out simply by not adding more fuel to it. Now, the second way of putting out a fire is to prevent oxygen from reaching it. Now, what can we do? We can stop oxygen by using some or other way from reaching at the place of fire, because no oxygen, no fire. No supply of oxygen means no fire. Small fires can be put out or smothered with a damp blanket or a sack. You must have heard that very small fire, if it is there, then we can put a damp blanket, means wet blanket, or a sack on it, and the fire is put out. This stops oxygen reaching the burning material. And how does it help? It stops oxygen from reaching at the burning material. Sometimes carbon dioxide is used to extinguish fire. It does not allow oxygen to reach the burning material. Now, in your school, you must have seen that at many points there are there are fire extinguishers which are out there to help you out if there is any emergency situation. And what does it do? It it starts, if you use it, then it gives the supply of carbon dioxide, and which lower downs the effect of oxygen and it stops it. Then you use, then burning material stops burning. So this is the thing which we can do if we want to extinguish the fire. So in this way, these are the ways which we have read so far. The third way of putting out a fire is to remove the heat. If the temperature can be brought down below the flash point, in the beginning we learnt about it that every fuel has a particular flash point. So if we are able to bring down the temperature, the fuel stops burning. You blow on a burning matchstick, you blow on a burning matchstick or a candle to put it out. In doing so, you remove the hot air around the flame, bringing down its temperature below the flash point, and the candle goes out. Sometimes water is also sprayed, and when we spray water, what happens? It absorbs heat from the burning fuel and lowers the temperature. The blanket of water also cuts off the supply of oxygen, and the fire is extinguished. So these are the way which we can use to put out the fire.